Today I'm going to be sharing my February reading plans and introducing a prompt jar for the first time. If you caught my January TBR video last month, then you would have heard me talking about how I'm going to try TBR videos this year. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to do it until I don't want to do it. So not committing to doing it every month in the year. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know. We're trying it for now. And we're also trying a prompt jar for the first time. I just love the idea of having little challenges to get me to read things that maybe I'd put off, some longer books, some older books, just all kinds of fun little ways to get through my TBR. My TBR is not very big at all. This is it. Everything you see on this second shelf right here is my physical TBR. And then I do have some audiobooks, but those are just free to me. They're Libro FM copies that they send me through the ALC program. I still use the Everand app. I've had enough people sign up with my code that I've just gotten so many months free that I never have to pay for Everand, which is really nice and great. I'm so glad so many people have used my code. That was back when it was Scribd. I liked the platform better when it was Scribd. Now that's Everand. I don't like the platform as much, so I don't know that I even recommend it to anyone anymore, but that's beside the point. And I'm always willing to pick up something that's not on my immediate TBR, but is sort of on my radar. I do have my want to read list on Goodreads, which I try to keep under 100 books at any given time. Right now it's around like 120, I think, because we're at the beginning of a year. There's a lot of anticipated releases I have for this year that I have on my radar. So it is over 100 right now, which I don't love, but in a couple of months it should be back down to 100. Anyway, all that to say, I do have about 100 books on my radar to choose from. The immediate next 20 or so are right here on my TBR. And then I also have some ARCs from publishers that I know I need to get through. So I'm gonna try to do like 5 pulls from this prompt jar, and that will start my TBR, and then anything else that's on my radar I'll let you know about at the end of the video. I have no idea how many prompts I really want to do each month. I have 3 different types of prompts in here. I have easy ones, difficult ones, and then audience ones. So the audience ones are pretty straightforward. Those are prompts that you have recommended to me in the comments. If you want to leave any other prompts down below, you can leave that in the comments of this video and I'll put them in my jar for next time. And then the easy and the difficult prompts are ones that I picked for myself, and I kind of picked what I knew would be easy for me and what I knew would be a little bit more difficult. They're all the same color, they're all just on white paper, but I did write what they are, if they're easy, difficult, or audience, so that if I get like 3 prompts in and they're all difficult, I can then, you know, try to make things a little easier on myself and pick some easy prompts. Anyway, all that out of the way, let's get into it. I'm gonna do my first pull. Okay, we started with a difficult prompt, not on immediate TBR. I don't know if this is always how I'll do it, but I want to pull all my prompts first and then I'll pick all my books because that just makes sense to me. Next is an easy one, Everand Audio. Another easy one, an ARC. Another easy one, 2025 Backlist TBR. And the last one, this is an audience prompt, and it is Japanese mystery. That is so perfect because someone left this comment because I mentioned that I'm going to Japan in February, and I thought, oh, that'll be a fun prompt to add, but who knows if I'm gonna get it, you know, in February or if it'll come way later down the line, and then I won't even remember why I necessarily put it on the list, but that is literally the perfect timing because I'm going to Japan this month, and I don't know that I'm gonna read much while I'm there because I'm only there for a week and I want to make the most of my time, but it'll be nice to still be in the mindset of Japan. Okay, let's start with the easy one and talk about an ARC. I have a couple ARCs that I plan on getting to in February, but as always, no matter how many ARCs I plan on reading, I never get through all the ones I want to read in a given month. So the one that I'll commit to for this prompt is The Last Session by Julia Bartz. This is the same author as The Writing Retreat, which was one of my favorite thrillers of 2023, I think is when it came out. Such a fun thriller. I have been very highly anticipating the next book from this author, and I'm so glad I ended up getting an ARC from the publisher. It comes out in the beginning of April, so I'm hoping to get to it in February. I don't want to hear anything about this book. I just want to get a first impression because I already have high expectations because I loved The Writing Retreat. I have a feeling people aren't going to like this one as much, and I don't want to hear that before going into it. I just want to go into the book without any kind of bias, so that's why I'm trying to get to it a little bit earlier than I usually do with my ARCs. This one says it's a white-knuckled locked room thriller about a social worker who, after coming face to face with her dark past, must infiltrate a mysterious wellness center in the deserts of New Mexico. Hopefully I'll end up reading at least one other ARC that I have this month and do a little reading vlog for reading some thriller ARCs. But the one I'm going to commit to for the prompt is The Last Session. I'm gonna combine two of my prompts because it's my game and I make the rules. So I'm gonna combine 2025 backlist TBR and Japanese mystery because I have a Japanese mystery on my 2025 backlist TBR. And that is Penance by Kane Minato. This is another author I've read from before. I love the book Confessions. I have really wanted to read from this author again, and so I put this book on my backlist TBR. I do have a video out that talks about the 10 books that are on my 2025 backlist TBR, so in case you see this prompt come up again in the year, that is what I'm referencing as my backlist TBR for the year. Penance is a Japanese mystery slash psychological suspense. It's about 4 women who are haunted by some childhood trauma that they have, and the synopsis says that it's a dark tale of revenge. I also think this is a relatively shorter book. It looks like it's 240 pages based on what Goodreads says. So that's gonna be good because February is a shorter month in general and it's a busy month for me, so that's a good pick. As for not on my immediate TBR, what that means to me, so I do own some physical books that I haven't read yet. This is my physical TBR. I have 2 other shelves that go this way that are books I haven't read yet, but they're not really on my immediate TBR. They're just kind of like books I've owned for a long time that I haven't gotten rid of yet that I might be interested in reading, but I don't know. And then it also includes anything that is on my Goodreads want to read that I don't own physically or on audio or anything yet. It's not like immediately one of the next things I want to read. So first, let's go look over at my shelves. This is what we have to work with up here. I think I'm just gonna get rid of Night Bitch because I was planning on reading it, but then I did finally see the movie adaptation. I didn't love the movie, so I'm not gonna read that. I have Plain Bad Heroines. That's way too big for February. What I do have up here is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, which is also a Japanese author, and it's also short. So this might be a good pick for this month. This book's been on my TBR forever. For so long that it moved from my main TBR to just like the other books I have because I thought, I'm never gonna read that. I picked it up because I heard someone love it. I don't even remember who it was. Years ago, I heard a really great review of it. It sounded great, and then I just never was really in the mood for it. I think it's gonna be a more emotional story, and I've been so much more in the mood for emotional stuff lately. It says this is an achingly beautiful story about family, memory, and math. He is a brilliant math professor with a peculiar problem. Ever since a traumatic head injury, he has lived with only 80 minutes of short-term memory. She is an astute young housekeeper with a 10-year-old son who is hired to care for him. And every morning, as the professor and the housekeeper are introduced to each other anew, a strange and beautiful relationship blossoms between them. Though he can't hold on to his memories for long, the professor's mind is still alive. He's capable of discovering connections between the simplest of quantities, like the housekeeper's shoe size, and the universe at large, drawing their lives ever closer and more profoundly together, even as his memory slips away. Stuff like this is why I wanted to do a TBR jar, just to get me to pick up stuff that I normally wouldn't. So hopefully this is a success, and I'll be glad that I kept it around for so long. And then finally is Everand Audio. So let me look at my Everand. I would screen record my phone for you, but my phone's so old that that's not a capability. This is like an iPhone 11, and I don't think that's possible. So now that they're Everand, they have this thing where audiobooks aren't always available. Now you have to get credits and you can unlock titles, and I hate that. I mean, it's fine. Like, Scribd was always so great because you could access so many books for just one fee a month. So it makes sense why they're moving this way. It makes sense for their competitors, but it's annoying for someone who's been using this for years. So whatever I commit to now, my point is, I may end up having a challenge if it gets to a later point in the month when I go to listen to it and it's no longer available and I have to unlock it. So caveating with that. One of the recent audiobooks I've saved on here that I also own physically, so it'd be nice to listen to it to help knock off my physical TBR, is The 3 Lives of Kate K. I wasn't necessarily super excited about this book. I was just trying to use up all my book of the month credits so I could pause my membership again. So I had to get 5 books to use up all my credits, and that was the book that I had to use as the book of the month. It was the most interesting one to me at the time so that I could get other add-ons and then put the membership on pause for a bit. It looks like this is a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, so I'm sure it will be somewhat enjoyable at least. It says The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo meets First Lie Wins in this electric voice-driven debut novel about an elusive best-selling author who decides to finally confess her true identity after years of hiding from her past. Kate K knows how to craft a story. As the creator of a best-selling book trilogy that struck box office gold as a film series, she's one of the most successful authors of her generation. The thing is, Kate K doesn't really exist. She's never attended author events or granted any interviews. Her real identity had been a closely guarded secret until now. As a young adult, she and her best friend Amanda dreamed of escaping their difficult homes and moving to California to become movie stars. But the day before their grand adventure, a tragedy shattered their dreams, and Kate has been on the run ever since, taking on different names and charting a new future. But after a shocking revelation, Kate understands that returning home is the only way she'll be a whole person again. Since I'm not very interested in this book, I think it'll be good to do the audio experience too. So I'll try that one as long as it's still available on Everand. So that's it for all my reading prompts. Now I'll tell you about the other books that I'm hoping to get to in February. I have 4 more arcs that are on my radar that I'd like to get read this month. I'm not gonna get through all of them. I'm gonna try to get through some/most of them. That includes Little Mysteries, Here Beside the Rising Tide, Witness 8, and The Third Rule of Time Travel. Little Mysteries, I think, is gonna be a plane read for me while I'm on a very, very, very long plane ride to Japan. So I think I'm gonna get to that one. It's 9 short mystery stories. That seems like a good, fun little thing to read. Here Beside the Rising Tide is this sci-fi story that sounds like it has a sentimental feel to it. I think it'll be just something a little bit different to read. Witness 8 is from the same author of Kill for Me, Kill for You, which I really enjoyed that thriller last year. This is like the 8th book in a series, a detective series, but apparently you can just pick it up and read it, so I'm gonna try it. And then The Third Rule of Time Travel is a sci-fi book from Philip Fracassi, who's an author that I've enjoyed before. And again, I'm just looking to read more sci-fi stuff, so I think it'll be fun. There are 2 other books that I'd like to do reading vlogs for this month if I can find time for it. First is The Crash by Frida McFadden. This is the new Frida McFadden book. It's about a pregnant woman who gets stranded. Sounds like it's a survival story, which I tend to enjoy. If I will like it is a big hit or miss. No clue. Have loved Frida, have hated Frida, have been everywhere in between with Frida. But I think that'd be a fun book to do a reading vlog of since it's coming out, and I can always have such a crazy different experience with a Frida McFadden book. And then the other one I want to do, if I have time for it this month, which I should because it's very short, is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. Last year, for the first time, I did a reading vlog where I tried to solve a murder mystery, and I did Murder in the Family by Kara Hunter, and I asked for other recommendations of other books that would be good to do that with, and this was the other book that people talked about the most and said it'd be good to do with. I don't know why. I don't know if like other creators have already done this book, and so you don't mind getting the spoilers, or if it's just a popular Agatha Christie and you were looking for an Agatha Christie to read. I haven't read this one before. I have read a little bit of Agatha Christie in the past, and so I'd like to do another trying to solve a mystery video, but doing a classic murder mystery this time. And then at this point, I am pre-filming this a little bit because I'm pre-filming for when I'm traveling to Japan. So I don't know exactly everything I fit into January reading at this point, but I think the only book from my January TBR that I'm not going to get to that will carry over into February is The Examiner by Janice Hallett. I just want to make sure I have good time for that book because I love that author so much, and I really want to be able to like sit down and enjoy the book instead of trying to rush through it. I don't want to take any physical books with me on my trip. I'm just going to be reading on my Kindle to save space. Otherwise, that would be the type of book that would be coming with me. So I think that one's going to carry into my February TBR as well. That is it. That's all I have planned for February. If I have time to read more, I'll read more. But I think it's going to be a pretty busy, packed month. And it sounds like my reading is going to be kind of all over the place, which I love. Hopefully this prompt thing goes well. If you have any thoughts down below for additional prompts to add to the jar, you can comment those down below and I'll add those in. I'm just gonna put all the prompts I picked today back in my jar and I'll mix it all up. And if I get them again, great. If I don't, also great. I'm just gonna make up the rules as I go along because that's how things stay fun for me. And yeah, let me know what else you think about my TBR. Have you read any of these books? Are you excited to hear about any of them? And I should have a fun month of content ahead, but that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.